An undisturbed attic, a massive telly, a Vision Racer seat and a Fanatec gaming wheel. The Fifth Gear Gaming Den is driving game heaven. Today, me and champion gamer Steve Embling will be using it to test Need for Speed Shift, which is available on PC, Xbox 360, PS3, PSP and iPhone. But before we suss out this Xbox 360 version, let's have a quick history lesson to see where the game has evolved from and where it's at now. While Electronic Arts now control the massive Need for Speed brand, the first game, released in 1994, was developed by Canadian studio Distinctive Software. Even then, it had a naughty streak, with police chases and a gobby opponent who took the mick if you lost or got arrested. Over the 17 versions of the game since then, EA has retained this rebellion, adding drag racing, illegal street circuits, car tuning, even more police chases, and a huge amount of exotic cars accessible from early on. So after 16 years of racing game ancestry, what new experiences does Need for Speed Shift bring? Well, it promises racing game realism instead of just mucking about with the cops, which is a good thing. You still progress through various racing series to reach the ultimate goal of taking part in the Need for Speed World Tour. The first race, which you're immediately chucked into, is around Brands Hatch in a BMW M3. And it's so immediate how physical it feels, because you go over all the bumps and the crests of Brands Hatch and the telemetry moves in relation to the dashboard. So you get a real sense of being chucked about. It's not a simulation, really. It's a really good, really involving, really fast and exciting arcade game. All the little clunks and squeaks of the cabin are transmitted right into you. When you actually have a crash, like what I'm about to do, ooh, all his vision goes blurry and it goes black and white, and it feels like you just concussed your driver. If you have a particularly bad one, you can hear him, he just goes, ooh. It puts you off, actually. It's kind of a bit scary to have such a physical experience. Like Forza Motorsport 3, a racing line has been added to the track which uses traffic light colours to show you the optimum places to accelerate, brake and lift off, but you don't necessarily need to be smooth to succeed. You progress through the game by earning points, which are rewarded for precision and aggression. You get precision points for things like perfect starts, well-timed braking, accurate steering, mastering corners, things like that, driving properly. And you get aggression points for naughty things like scraping paint, knocking people off the track, doing really big skids and, you know, generally misbehaving. So even if you're a little bit rubbish and you can't score any precision points, you can just drive about like a right Barry and get some points for being aggressive anyway. I've already got points for staying on the racing line, drafting an opponent, a dirty overtake, trading paint. Gone through a speed threshold, 30 points. Slide, some points. Oh, I'm causing all sorts of havoc. Oh dear, I think that was a Corolla AE86 which I just took out. I put him on his roof! At the end of a race, all your rewards will be tallied up and the game will tell you whether you're a precise or an aggressive driver, or both. The more races you win, the more money you have to spend on cars and tuning, but those precision and aggression points are needed to unlock parts, cars and races. It's still not quite at the simulation levels of games like Gran Turismo or Forza. I think by their standards it's too aggressive, too pointy in the cars and too easy to lose grip. But to be honest, it's so much fun that most of the time it doesn't actually matter. I think it's brash, it's escapism, but there's enough reality there to keep you interested, and I like it. Still, enough of what I think. It's time to get a professional opinion from our expert gamer Steve. So, Steve, do you think the fact that you get points for aggression just as much as you get points for precision detracts from where it's trying to go, or do you think it's still just keeping a nice fun side to it?
That adds to it a little bit. I mean, I think they've taken a leaf out of Project Gotham's book, really, and just built on that a little bit more to suit different driving styles. You get awarded points for very distinct things. Like if I was to ram the opponents off, then I would get actually points for that. I mean, it's quite unusual to reward people for driving sort of badly and aggressively like that. Yeah. But then you can probably earn more points from driving with precision.
So what about the artificial intelligence of the other cars? I mean, I've spotted bits where it looks like a car's deliberately stuck his brakes on in front of you just to get on your nerves. Is that what you think happens?
I think that they do actually do that on purpose at times. I think what they've done is that they've programmed some cars to be more aggressive than others. So some will be smooth racers and some will be aggressive racers.
How would you compare the AI to kind of maybe Forza or like say PGR or something like that?
Yeah, Forza's a lot more serious. I mean, on here they make mistakes, they kind of nudge each other and stuff like that. So it gives it a more of a sort of gamey feel to it.
And do you think it feels right being a Need for Speed game where you're on a track and not racing illegally through the streets with the cops after you?
Well, it's a bit different to previous Need for Speed games, but personally I think it works quite well. They tried to create a sense of G-force in the actual cockpit, and if you have a crash, then it really does look very dramatic, as you would expect.
Exactly.
So a lot of racing games just feel a bit flat in that respect. So I think they've made a special effort to really emphasise it here.
Yeah, this is it. We've established what's good about it. We've established what's different about it. What's bad about Need for Speed Shift?
I've got to say, if you like to play with manual gears, then the controls really aren't very good. The best way to play this game is with a wheel. You really need a wheel to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
You can use a clutch then as well, which you can't if you use the controller.
What's bad about the controller?
Well, it's just not set up how most racing games are. There's only 3 setups, and all of them are a bit odd compared to a lot of the other racing games.
So it's literally the position of the buttons and what does what?
Yeah, I think they've probably been in Need for Speed like that for a little while, but
so just sticking by the traditions.
Yeah, but they really need to add some new ones now. The game's just a bit more realistic because people will want to use manual gears.
Yeah. So, what score would you give it out of 25?
I'd give it 18 out of 25.
On top of Steve's 18 out of 25, I'm going to give Shift a score of 21 out of 25 for the graphics. I'll give it a 22 for the driving experience because although it might be more arcade than sim, it's still packed with realistic features. And finally, Cars and Tracks gets 16 out of 25. There are a healthy 72 cars, but only 19 tracks available to play on. All of that gives Need for Speed Shift a 5th gear gaming score of 77 out of 100. For sheer fun, we think it's worth a buy.